This is Reah, and this is Just the Who of Us, where we talk about a range of topics including life events, current events, spirituality, entertainment, family relationships, as well as answering listener questions and more. Today, I am excited to introduce with us today, we have Terraine Brown. In light of February being the month containing Valentine's Day, we've chosen to focus February's topics on love, romance, and things of that nature. So, our first guest for February is a relationship coach and mentor. He works with people on personal relationships, dating, marriage, etc. Now, the interesting thing about him is that he actually does this for free. He doesn't charge for his services. He just does it because he has the knowledge and he wants to help. You can find him on YouTube, Anchor, Facebook, and Spotify. He also discusses nutrition, well-being, state of mind, and healing. Tell me a little bit about yourself and your relationship coach and mentoring.
Absolutely. So my name is Terraine. I've been a relationship coach officially for about just over a year now. I've been helping friends, family, and anyone that would listen in regards to their relationships, whether it's on the personal level, meaning dating and romance, or if it's on a professional, because in my 9 to 5 job, I'm actually a people manager. So I do coach people. I've been coaching people for many, many years. So I just do it all around and it's all encompassing. So I'm just trying to help people find love and hopefully find what they believe will make their life better.
Nice. So when your focus is your focus more so romantic relationships or just relationships in general?
It's more on the romantic side, even though I'm more experienced probably in the professional side, meaning coaching to success. I've taken what I've learned in the business world and I want to apply it into the romantic world. And that's where I'm actually officially certified. And the reason why that is I think human beings spend a lot of time trying to be very good at their jobs, right? We want to be CEO, we want to be Elon Musk, Mark
Right.
Zuckerberg, and all these other people, but we don't necessarily take the time to prepare for a relationship. We kind of fly it before we build it or fly it as we build it. So I'm here to help bridge the gap.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. A lot of sense. What happened? Was there something that happened in your life or, that made you want to take this path? Because I know a lot of times, a lot of people that I've talked to, it's been kind of like, well, I had this experience and it led me to, wanting to help people in this particular area, or I have, just this education and this thing, what was it for you that was like, you know what, I'm gonna change whatever else I'm doing, and this is what I want to focus on.
Oh, for me, that's quite easy. I'm in my 30s now, but in my 20s, let's just say that I couldn't get the woman that I wanted. So there was a number of reasons. And one day I just realized and I said, hey, the women that I am able to get a date with, I don't necessarily want them in that way, or maybe I don't feel I can build a future with them. But the woman
Mhm.
that I do want, the ones in the distance, the ones that I look and I'm like, she's kind of good looking right now. And I wish I can get an opportunity with her. They would flat out tell me no.
Mhm.
And what I did is I mustered up the courage because asking someone out is courageous. And I said, hey, girl X, what is the type of guy that you want? And she listed like 1,000 reasons, right? He needs to be 6 foot tall. He needs to
Oh
be
yeah.
abs and 6 inches and all this other stuff. And I'm like,
Mhm.
well, I kind of have some of that, right? But in all seriousness, I couldn't make it work in the way that I wanted to make it work. So I decided to treat it like in marketing or like a job, right?
Yeah.
Find out the audience, which is women in this case, and the type of women. And then
Mhm.
I said, hey, I'm the product. I want to sell myself to you. How can I better sell myself? So I had test groups and I just asked the question. They gave me their answers. And then I began to figure out how to highlight some of the attributes that I have that would make me more attractive to women instead of me molding myself. Because I know some people do this, saying that,
Uh-huh.
okay, this girl wants a man that is rich. Let me get all the money. Let me get a fast car. Let me get all this stuff. And then I'm going to go back to her and say, hey, I got that money. I got
Right.
that car. How about we make this work? No, it's about me becoming a better person and figuring out that, hey, if I want the best, I have to be able to compete with the best, and that's ultimately what I did.
Yeah, but I love that you point that out though, that you didn't change yourself. It's not like, okay, let me change myself to cater to this person, what their interests are. You highlighted those interests that exist. I mean, those attributes that existed in you. And I think that's really important to kind of point out because for self-esteem, if the the wrong kind of wording in a situation like that could have someone, okay, yeah, like I need to change everything about me. It's not necessarily about changing who you are, but being willing to work on things that don't work on yourself to become a better person, attract better people. So I think I like the way you put that.
Yeah, and I'll continue with that. It's about just being competitive. And if that's truly what you want, if you want to get married, you're gonna have to understand certain dynamics. And I try to convey that to the people that I mentor and that I coach. And I say that bringing a life into this world is expensive.
Yeah.
So if you're not financially prepared, you're going to be behind because you can be mentally prepared. You can say, I want children now.
Right.
But how many people who have children actually financially prepared or emotionally prepared to take care of them? Are you going to raise a child in a cardboard box? No.
Right.
You need to figure out those things. And I think sometimes we take that for granted because having children is easy. Growing a child is the real challenge.
Yes, this is something that I notice with a lot of people, myself included, because I was very young when I had started having kids. You hear people say all the time, I want a child, I want a baby, I want to be a mother, I want to be a father. But I think that people forget that children grow up. Children are always babies. Where you might want a baby, you might want to be a parent. That baby's not a child forever. And when we are raising children, we are raising future adults. And to say, I want to be a parent is one thing. And like I said, with myself, I was very young. I didn't have things planned out. And it took me a lot longer to get to certain places because I didn't plan things out. I just became a mother, yeah, I hear that a lot. And in my mind, I'm always kind of like, that's great, but you're raising a future adult. So we should think about that more when we just want to have kids. It's a thing. Most people, you want to go, you want to get married, you want to have a family, and so on and so forth. And we don't think about finances and things first, which are important.
I think it's more important than people give it credit. You can be the poorest of people and
Hmm.
still have a child.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because here in Canada and probably in other parts of the world, to adopt a child,
Hmm.
you gotta be okay. How's the house? Is the house in order? What kind of job you have? It's like an interview process.
Yeah.
To have a child to create your own. It's like legs open, person enters,
Yes.
wham bam, thank you, ma'am, right? And
100%.
it
Yeah.
reminds me of a date that I went on a couple of years ago. It was a second date, and the young lady said, Train, I like you. This is my plan. I'm like, okay, we're going to have that conversation. Where is it going? Like a lot of people have.
Hmm.
And she said, in 3 months, I want to be married. In 6 months, I want to have a kid. I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. This is second date talk.
Wow.
So, and then I asked her, I was okay, let's, me, like, I'm like, I like to poke the bear. So I was like, okay, let's run with this. So where are we going to live? How are we going to grow this child? Right? Is it going to be a religious household? If it's not going to be a religious household, how's it going to be the values of the house? And she's like, well, I was like, exactly. It's one thing to have a child, but you have to understand you have two people coming together to raise this child to the best of their ability. And sometimes,
Yeah.
ladies and gentlemen who are listening, sometimes your best may not be good enough.
Mm,
And we have to understand that because every parent is going to say that, hey, I'm the best parent in the world. My child is the best. Well, if
hmm.
that's the case, everyone in jail is someone's son or daughter.
Ah, that's true.
Everyone
Yeah.
that's right. Everyone that's committed a crime is someone's son or daughter. So
Yeah.
I think if we can get back to the preparation and saying that, hey, I'm want to be with this person? How can I grow with this person? Where we go from I, meaning Terraine the individual, to we, to me and this young lady, to us, me, the young lady, and children.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if we can get back to that, and that's what I try to get my people that I mentor and coach, I try to get them to see that point, because there's certain things you're going to have to give up as you continue to grow your family.
Yeah, that's a good point too. I think that it's interesting your perspective and the way that you coach relationships, because a lot of people, my fiance and I, we've had this conversation before. He's very traditional, he wants the wife, the kids, and he wants to be the provider and everything. I had 5 children before we got engaged. I was married before. I've also adopted, and so I kind of already had the already built family, and of him being such a traditional person, there's times where we have certain conversations, and it's like if he was anybody else, it wouldn't work for him because of the we're just very different. Now, not to say that I didn't want a traditional life, getting married, having children in that order and everything else, but it just didn't work out that way. And, clearly of my own doing, but we work well together. I've known him for most of my life, so I feel like if we didn't already have this long history, we may not have ended up together just because our views are so different. But I say that to say a lot of people that I've had on and that I've talked to don't kind of have that view still. And I appreciate, kind of your traditional approach because it's different than other people that I've spoken with. And not to say there's anything wrong with it being different. A lot of people, are focusing on their certain audience. I didn't do things the traditional way, but I do recognize the benefits to the traditional planning and pattern. It's really what I prefer for my own kids, even though I didn't do things traditionally. I recognize the stability it provides, the safety, how you teach your children morals and values by setting these examples for them and things like that. And so, like I said, even though I didn't do things the traditional way, my fiance and I both for our children, that is what we would prefer. Now, if they do things differently, obviously we'll still love and support them, but and maybe it make me a tiny bit of a hypocrite because it is different than the path I followed, but it really is. It is the preferable plan for my own children. So
I believe so as well. And most of my audience that I deal with, and even even lately, the women that I've coached, they're later on in their life. They're over 40, some are 50, some are even their 60s.
Really? Okay.
And they're out here trying to date. And I feel bad for this specific demographic because I think they're trapped between two worlds. They're trapped growing up for the most part in a traditional sense. And that's what they initially wanted. And many of them, to your point, right? They were married probably early on in their life, right? Like 18s, 20s, and they had children.
Yes.
So they lived that traditional for the most part. And then when it ended, because most marriages, for some reason, they end right around the 10-year mark. So when that ended, and now they're back on the dating market, they're back on the dating market in a lot of cases in their 40s. So they don't necessarily have the same type of pull that they remember having maybe in their 20s, right?
Right. Yeah.
And then they've been out of the market for so long that now they look at things differently. Like, oh my God, like people are actually dating online. Because when they were growing up, it wasn't a thing, right? Swipe left, swipe right. It wasn't.
That's true.
There's no Tinder in the 50s. It was like take the ferry for 5 cents and go meet your husband at the local market, right? Everyone went to the farmer's market back then.
Right.
So that's why I feel a little bit bad because they're kind of trapped and they're trying to figure it out. But I feel that they get lost because they end up doing things that maybe they wouldn't do when they're younger, right? And what I found
Yeah.
is that they're probably, after they've got divorced, oddly enough, after 40, and these are the people that I deal with, they end up with more sexual partners after 40 than before it.
Really?
Right? Yes, because now they're trying to navigate it. And when they grew up, it wasn't, okay, the 3 date rule. Do I wait
Yeah.
30 days? There wasn't these types of conversations. It was just, okay, if I'm interested in this person, we date for a while. When we make it official, things may happen.
Hmm.
Now you kind of have them in a situation where it's like the second or third date. And sometimes they're doing it to compete. Sometimes they're doing it, well, I'm going to live my life. And this is
Yeah.
just the way it is now, right? So it is kind of tough speaking to them, because when I share some of this and I say, hey, sex is a beautiful thing. If you want to do it, do it. No
Yeah.
one's going to shame you. There isn't the walk of shame anymore. Those things are over with, right?
Yeah.
But keep in mind that you don't want to build a relationship that is strictly sex based, because it doesn't last long term. And
Right.
that's what I try to teach them.
Specifically working with older women, what would you say would be the most difficult part of trying to coach, like you said, someone who's a little bit older? And we all know the older we get, the more set in our ways we are. And we also know that a lot of times relationships are unsuccessful because we don't want to change the things that aren't working. Do you feel like that's kind of a difficulty in working with older women?
I would say yes. And one thing that I found, to your point, is that they seem to want to make changes that aren't necessarily who they are. And I'll
Mm,
say that by, like, when I mentioned the whole sexual thing,
hmm.
that's them doing something they wouldn't normally do, but they feel it's appropriate given the climate,
Oh, gotcha.
right?
Okay.
And another thing that I find with older women, sometimes they haven't given themselves enough time to heal.
Yeah.
And I find as you get older, you need more time to heal, you're because you're most likely in longer relationships, right? As you
Yeah,
get
that's
older,
a fair
right?
point.
Your
Hmm.
30s and your 40s, excluding if you've been married. If you've been married, then that's going to take up some time. But if
Yeah.
you're someone who's older, let's say you got married in your 20s and you hit the 8, 9 year mark, you've given this person all of your 20s, you enter the dating market in your 30s, you should still be fine because you grew up around that. But let's say if you got married in your 20s and you don't re-enter the dating market into your 40s, it's a whole new world.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
Right? So
that is
now you
true.
have to figure out, you have children, and you have to be mindful of how you behave now, because you can't be wild, a cougar chasing all these young boys, right? Because one of these young
Yeah.
boys may be your son or daughter's good friend,
Yeah.
because I've had that situation where I knew someone who was dating one of her son's friends, and it was awkward. It was awkward. But it was strictly to her. It was like a sexual thing, right? But she didn't realize that you're sleeping with someone your son knows.
Yeah.
That's like a unwritten rule, isn't it? Like for women, that's like a big no. Like, you don't do that. But you can't,
Yeah.
because when he comes over, who's he there for? Is he there for the
Who's
son or the mom or both? Sunday afternoon, like, who's he there for? Is he there
right,
for
right.
tea, or is he there for something else, or video games? I just don't know. But I just think that sometimes go out and get what you want. This is the best advice I can give anyone, regardless
Mhm.
of the age. Love, there's no expiry. There isn't any age limit. There is nothing of that nature. If it doesn't work today, it can work tomorrow. If it doesn't work tomorrow, it could work next week. But go into every relationship 20, 30, 40, or 90 years old with yourself fixed and at 100%, because you owe it not only to yourself to be at 100, but you owe it to that other person, because if they're going to give you 100% and you're going to give them 50 and it doesn't work out, it's going to continue to diminish you and deplete you.
Absolutely. When I went through my divorce, I didn't do that. We were separated for quite a while. I dated in between, moved out of state and came back. I did a lot, but I didn't heal myself. before I got into another relationship. And even with my fiance now, we had both gone through certain things. We didn't heal. Like I said, we know each other forever, but we didn't heal as individual people before we came together. And it really took the first, I don't know, 3 years of us having a solid, serious relationship to like start working through stuff because, you just do. You don't heal yourself from your previous experience and you bring everything onto the new experience and you're either treating the new person like the old person or just it's just things that it's really better just to work on yourself and heal before you start even if it's just a hookup thing, a sexual experience, because like you said, it's just kind of like a time passer and it's probably not going to lead into a solid serious relationship in the future, and you're kind of just wasting your time with it. You're filling the void as time passes, but it's really not. If that's what you want, is another serious solid relationship, filling the void and not healing first is not doing any favors for that relationship that you really want.
Oh yeah, no one goes to the store and buys a product with an open box or that's damaged, right?
Right.
So that's how we have to
Yeah.
treat ourselves. Make sure that the wrapping and make sure the contents are as complete and as whole as possible.
Or we want a discount for it and we don't want to really pay what it's worth.
Oh, you tell a woman today that she's a discount? Oh my goodness. We can't say that. We can't tell men and women that the clearance rack, right? Hey there, you're on the clearance rack, just come over. No,
Yeah.
it's but you're right. If we're going to be completely honest, there's some people that are going to be on the clearance rack until they decide not to be.
Right. 100%. I was definitely clearance rack material the first few years of our actual relationship because, you go, yeah, it's never a good idea. Now we're good now, but we could have saved each other some heartache, stress, had we been healed people first. I mean, it's not impossible, but you're going to put each other through some stuff that you don't necessarily have to with not healing yourselves first.
Oh yeah, and time is such a precious gift. The
Yeah.
richest of people can't buy it. So please value it,
Yeah.
everyone.
So much so. So, with your background here, let's get into that a little bit. Tell me about Behind the Shades.
Yeah, so Behind the Shades is my podcast, and it's all about stories that I speak to speaking to men and women about relationships and the dynamics of it. And what I like about it is it's not strictly only about dating, it's at times about other factors such as your nutrition, your well-being, your state of mind. Have you healed any trauma from your past? So I came up with the name Behind the Shades because I always say that there's a person that we present to the world, and then there's the person that we actually are, which is behind the shades. And when you look at the acronym BTS, is also behind the scenes. Is Denzel Washington really that cool type of guy? Is Ryan Reynolds actually that funny? Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So is Brad Pitt always good looking, or does he prepare his face to go out there? So it's just a way of getting to know the person behind the image that they put out there, because sometimes that person is actually far more interesting than what is crafted and presented to us.
Yeah. Yeah. So much so. It's like dating sites, Facebook, whatever the case may be. And even sometimes when we're podcasting and, other things, it's in your career, whatever, that's what we do. We typically we show people what we want them to see. Yeah, we show the world what we want them to see in a way that perceives us to be how we really wish we were most of the time, in a setting where you can control how people perceive you. I'm going to put out there what I want them to see me as, and I'm going to be whoever I really am when people aren't looking. It's one thing I like about podcasting because I get to talk to different people about different things. And I'm pretty much the same, I feel like, in all of my interviews and things like that. And I talk about some pretty deep stuff. There's no way to really kind of, when you're talking about traumas and relationships and stuff like that, there's not really a way to kind of hide yourself. I mean, you can be nice, you can be supportive, but it's it's hard to like pretend to be somebody. I don't know, in my opinion, because we talk about so many different things, we talk to different people and whatnot. And of course, we're going to cater our conversation to our certain topics, but really, I don't know. I feel like it's difficult to kind of be fake when you're doing something like this.
I agree. I agree, especially as the host, as you're doing today.
Yeah.
Every time someone comes on your show, it's a different personality, it's a different topic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so one thing I think all people who run on online show, podcasting, whatever name you want to give it, is that they have to be adaptable and understanding.
Yes.
Someone could come on your show and they could have a view that's totally different than your own, and you're not going to yell at them and say you're wrong, your views.
Right.
You're gonna listen to them, right? Because
Yeah.
I'm even today, I'm learning from you, you're learning from, and I would hope that you and everyone that's listening is learning from me, and that's the best way to view it, I believe.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And what's kind of different about our interview is that we didn't have like a little pre thing. I usually do kind of a meeting in the beginning and then record so I can kind of get to know the person. I'm an open minded person. I really always try to be. I know that not everyone is like me and not everyone has the same views. And typically, if you have a view, it's because it's for a reason. It's from a life experience, it's from education you've had, whatever the case may be. So I like doing this so far because, like I said, I'm open minded. There's going to be a point where somebody's going to come on and they're going to completely disagree with me. And that's fine because I know how to have a conversation, even if I have different views. You and I probably have different views on certain components of relationships. And that's fine. It's interesting because you get to learn more that way. If everybody felt the same way, if everybody thought the same thing, I couldn't grow as a person because I wouldn't learn anything new.
Yeah, I remember there was a time where I interviewed swingers, a
Oh,
husband and a wife, and it's not, I'm not part of that community, and it's not something that I would do.
yeah,
But it was so interesting because it was my opportunity to understand it.
yeah,
So that's what I did. Although I may not do it, although many people that I know, because it's still a small community, most people wouldn't
right,
do it.
yeah,
Um, but to your point, like you want to find out why
hmm,
someone does it. And as long as the people are respectful, I don't think, I would hope that no one's going to be such a monster where it's going to be like a shouting match where it's like, I disagree with you and things like that. It's just, no, well, those episodes won't ever air, but
right, right,
we just make sure that we're respectful. And I believe that if the world looked at everyone and said, this is my belief, I believe X, you believe Y, help me to understand why you believe Y. Okay, I can
yeah,
understand why you believe that, even though that I don't, I can respect why you don't believe it. I
yeah,
think there's not enough of that. Like when you ask someone why they do certain things, they feel like they don't have to explain it or they don't have to say anything. And
yeah.
part of me thinks the reason why they do that is because they truly don't know why they do some of the things that they do.
That's an interesting point too, though, and that's where coaching is beneficial because it's not until, it's just like going to therapy. It's not until we have this outside perspective looking in that most of the time we understand why we do certain things that we do that we don't know why we do them.
I agree. I agree 100%. And you want to continue to learn and to continue to grow. And I think that's the hallmark of being an adult. Just
Hmm.
keep growing.
Definitely. Yeah. Let everybody know where they can find you.
Yeah, so on YouTube, if you search the Behind the Shades show, you'll find me. So if you want to do at Behind the Shades, I'm there. If you want to look at Facebook, facebook.com/behind the shades FB. And then I'm on Spotify as well under the Behind the Shades show, which is from Anchor as well. But I think everyone has Spotify. They probably use it for music, but I'm there too.
Yeah.
And that's my social media. I'm trying to get a few more, but I don't know if I have the time to do like 4 or 5 or 6. It's hard keeping up with it when it's just you, but
Yeah.
that's where I am.
So you do all your stuff, your production and everything yourself too?
Yes, yes. I'm at the, if I were to tell you how I shot my first episode on my cell phone in my backyard
Really?
on sunny days only. Oh yeah, if it was raining, I couldn't film.
Oh, wow.
That's how I did it. So now I actually have a background, and it wasn't even like a microphone, I guess, or headphones. It was just a tripod, cell phone, slanted, not, that's horizontal, not vertical. And it was just on my backyard on sunny days 2.5 years ago. And here I am with a backyard and proper headphones and an actual mic, a real mic. But yeah, this is where I am. So I look forward to connecting with everyone. And if you ever want to check me out as well for coaching, my website is
Yes.
behindtheshades.ca. Coaching is free because I'm doing it not necessarily for the money, because my job during the day takes care of that and all of this. It keeps the lights on, but I just want to make sure that people are better. And I wish I had a mentor growing up instead of me having to ask. And luckily, the men and women were fortunate enough to assist me. But I think we need help more than ever, considering everything that's happened in the last couple of years.
Yes. Oh man. Yes. There was something that you said. I literally record on my laptop. So my fiance bought me a gaming laptop because I'm obsessed with playing Sims. And so that's what I do in, my rare free time. So he bought me this really nice gaming laptop. And my son's like, he bought you that to game. My son's 22. He's like, you record your podcast on the laptop he bought you to play games on. And I was like, well, yeah, my other laptop doesn't have the same quality. So, I think I'm on episode 36, 37 or so. So like I've only been doing this since May. But I think my mom is getting me a mic for Christmas. So that'll be pretty cool. Cause I have my Beats headphones that I wear and then I just record on my computer. So I get it.
Oh yeah. If you I don't know if you watch any like podcasts or interviews on YouTube. So what I did is just to see, okay, I couldn't be the only one that started off this way. So I
Right.
would go to their channel. If you scroll all the way to the left, you can see where it says about, and it tells you how long they've been on YouTube. So I went into their very early videos. There's this one guy I used to watch, and before his interview started, like he's polished now, right?
Mhm.
But let's say like 6 years ago, 7 years ago, when he first started, he used to be off camera, and then he used to go, "Are you guys ready? Countdown 10, 9, 8." He used to count down off camera. Then when it got to 0, he would actually appear. So, and this person now has like over 1 million subscribers. So it's interesting
Dang.
to see how far they will come. He put the camera on the ledge above the fireplace.
Oh,
And
really?
then he would slide into the camera view with his little bow tie. I was like, oh my goodness.
Oh,
Yeah, it was.
that sounds like
Yeah.
what's his name?
Well, rest in peace, Kevin Samuels. I don't know if you know who that is, but
Oh,
yeah, if you go all the way back, even if you go into like any other person, just look how long they've been on YouTube
uh,
or doing it. Easily, you have people like 6 to 10 years, 6 to 10 years. He just got big over the last 2 years. There's so many other names that I follow, that I watch just to see their style and see, okay, because they've been doing it so much longer, to see what I can learn.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
you're doing it from May. I remember the first 6 months, the first year, very exciting, very passionate.
Hmm.
Every episode is the greatest episode in the world.
Yeah.
Give yourself 2 years, you're gonna look back, you'll be like, that's how I look like.
It's like I just recently figured out how to put my logo in the background. So,
Oh my.
progress.
There you go. There you go. One step at a time, right? One step at a time. See, I've just been doing it a year and a half longer. I've been 2 years now, but
Yeah.
yeah, I remember the first year. The first year was everything. I remember when I got my first laptop for it too, and I was so excited. But now I have 3 monitors right now on a desktop. So, but I appreciate humble beginnings.
Yeah,
Humble
yeah,
beginnings.
very much so. I really, really appreciate you being here with me today, and I look forward to maybe chatting again. Thank you for being on, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Enjoy the rest of your day, and thank you again. It was a pleasure.
You too.
If anybody has questions they want us to answer or topics to discuss, you can leave that on the Facebook page. Visit www.falolity.net. That's FALOLITY, where you can purchase your own copy of Surviving Mom Brain and Dad Brain workbooks, as well as my autobiography.
Adios, mi amigo.